Kisumu has developed to promote fish farming in Kisumu County, to include the provision of fingerlings, establishment of fish ponds, and training of fish farmers and fishmongers. Secondly, state measures put in place to support value addition in the fishing industry in Kisumu County, particularly with regard to processing and marketing of fish products. Third, disclose details of any local or international partnerships and grants entered into by the county government aimed at boosting the fish industry in Kisumu County. And lastly, indicate the budgetary allocation set aside by the county government for the development of fish farming, processing, and marketing of fish in the county. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Okenyuri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. A request for statement on the socio-economic impact of the Hustler Fund. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the socio-economic impact of the Hustler Fund. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the total amount of money that has been disbursed to borrowers since the launch of the Hustler Fund, indicating the loan uptake in percentage per age group. 2, state the default rate of the Hustler Fund loans, making comparison to the default rates of loans advanced by commercial banks in Kenya. 3, outline the steps the government has taken to recover the defaulted funds, clarifying whether the government intends to waive an amount owed by the most vulnerable youth. And finally, highlight the socio-economic impact of the fund, detailing any documented success stories, particularly from Kisii County. Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP. Thank you.
Senator Mondegi. Senator Mondegi. Okay, we can defer that. I think he's somewhere. Senator Chute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have two statements. I'll start with the first one. The statement is on the high prevalence of cancer cases in Marsabit County. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the rise of cancer cases in Laisamis and northern constituencies in Marsabit County. In the statement, the committee should first clarify the initiation date, overall cost, and completion date of the KEMRI research addressing the increase in cancer cases in Laisamis and northern constituencies within Marsabit County. 2, state whether the report has been published or publicized, and if not, explain the reason behind the decision to refrain from publication. 3, Madam Speaker, identify the factors contributing to the heightened incidence of cases and propose measures for their control. Going to my second statement, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock, and Fisheries regarding the artificial insemination goat center in Ahiti, Ndomba. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide clarification on the launch date of artificial insemination goat center in Ahiti, Ndomba, including details on the investment, cost, and expense associated with the semen extraction. 2, enumerate the types, names, and quantity of goat breeds present at the center currently. 3, specify the beneficiaries and counties involved in the operations. And finally, Madam Speaker, outline the number of individuals employed at the center and provide details on their composition. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Senator Mwaruma. What's your point of order, Senator Chemera?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 228. Madam Speaker, 4 or 5 months ago, I made a statement in this Honorable House, Madam Speaker, on the status of the medical insurance of our Kenya police officers, Madam Speaker. Since then, I remember it was in May, nothing has ever happened. That statement was committed to the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Protection, Madam Speaker. I have not received any communication from them, Madam Speaker. I am in the dark insofar as that statement is concerned, Madam Speaker. I therefore rise pursuant to 228, Madam Speaker, to seek clarity on that particular statement, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Mwaruma, you just hold on a little. Can I ask the Vice Chair of the Labour Committee who is present here to quickly respond to Senator Chimera's concern, if you are able?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I may not have the response at the moment. I'll consult the Secretariat and then I will respond accordingly.
Can the relevant committee ensure that they provide a response at the next sitting, please? Senator Mwaruma.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to request for a statement on payment of retirement benefits for former employees of Housing Finance Corporation of Kenya. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the underpayment of retirement benefits to former employees of the Housing Finance Corporation of Kenya, HFSK. In the statement, the committee should confirm if the Housing Finance Corporation of Kenya is cognizant of instances where certain retrenched employees received less compensation than they were entitled to from the HFSK trustee pension scheme. 2, present the methodology employed in computing benefits for retrenched and former workers of the Housing Finance Corporation of Kenya from the year 2000 to 2010, clearly outlining the factors such as job group and years of service taken into account. 3, identify any disparities in payments, if any, among individuals within the same job group, and lastly, specify the anticipated timeline for settling the outstanding balance for employees who received insufficient compensation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding the status of the ownership of the land of Tom Mboya Social Hall in Makadara constituency. In the statement, the committee should state the current holder of the registered title for the land where the Tom Mboya Social Hall is situated. Number 2, explain whether the social hall is still a public facility, and if not, state when its ownership changed hands and provide the legal basis for the same. Number 3, clarify the circumstances leading to a private developer fencing off the public facility, preventing public access, outlining the measures implemented to address this situation. And finally, Madam Speaker, present a comprehensive report assessing the current ownership status
of all public social amenities and related facilities within Nairobi County. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, the Senator Sige's statement is deferred. She's actually away officially. Honorable members, I have a communication from the chair on a visiting delegation from the County Assembly of Murang'a. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon of a visiting delegation from the County Assembly of Murang'a. The delegation comprises of Sergeant-at-Arms who are on a benchmarking visit with their counterparts in Senate. On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome and wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you very much. Is the Senator for Murang'a present? Can Senator Commissioner please welcome the guest.
Asante Bi Speaker kunipa fursa hii. Nataka kuungana na wewe kuwakaribisha wageni wetu wa kutoka Murang'a na niwaambie ya kwamba Senator wa kutoka Murang'a John Nyoto ni mwerendi katika kazi yake na ako katika shughuli za kiserikali ndiposa hayuko na sisi hapa. Niwaambie ya kwamba yale ambayo watakayosoma katika seneti wamekuja siku nzuri sana wakati kuna taarifa nyingi, na wakikaa kidogo wataona ya kwamba kuna mswada ambao umeletwa na Kavindu wa kuongea kuhusu mambo yanayotendeka Mavoko bwana Speaker, na najua wataweza kuelewa maneno mengi yanavyoendelezwa katika seneti yetu. Nashukuru na nawakaribisha. Asante bwana Speaker.
Thank you. I now wish to invite Honorable Mogeni to move a motion.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. Extension of the mandate of the National Dialogue Committee. Aware that the National Dialogue Committee was established by Parliament through a resolution passed by the National Assembly and the Senate on the 16th of August 2023 and 29th of August 2023, respectively. Further, aware that the resolution outlines the mandate of the committee, which includes to facilitate dialogue, consensus building, and recommend appropriate constitutional, legal, and policy reforms on issues of concern to the people of Kenya. Acknowledging that since its establishment, the committee has made tremendous progress in exercise of its mandate and has achieved the following milestones, namely formulated and adopted framework agreement, framed and adopted the statement of issues, unbundled the issues and agreed on prioritization of issues, harmonized the unbundled issues, conducted public participation and stakeholder engagements in line with the requirements of Article 10 of the Constitution, and examined and analyzed the memoranda that were received from the public and stakeholder submissions. Further, cognizant that the committee is present in the process of considering the issues for negotiations and recommending appropriate constitutional, legal, and policy reforms on each of the framed issues, which are, namely, electoral justice and related matters, outstanding constitutional matters, fidelity to political parties, stroke coalitions, and the law on multi-party democracy, entrenching the National Government Constituency Development Fund, entrenching National Government Affirmative Action Fund, and entrenching the Senate Oversight Fund into the Constitution, and establishment and entrenchment of state offices. Conscious
that the resolution as passed by both houses of parliament required the committee to report to the leadership of Kenya Kwanza and Azimio coalitions within 60 days from the 29th of August 2023, recognizing the need for the committee to conclude the consideration of the issues for negotiations, the process of making the appropriate constitutional, legal, and policy reforms on each of the issues as framed by the committee, and preparation of a report for submission to the leadership of Kenya Kwanza and Azimio coalition, and thereafter to Parliament. Now, therefore, the Houses of Parliament resolve to extend the mandate of the National Dialogue Committee by a further 30 days from the 28th of October 2023, and consequently, the committee shall be required to report to the leadership of Kenya Kwanza and Azimio coalition on or before 26th of November 2023, and thereafter submit their report to Parliament. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 8, the Public Holidays Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 31 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Public Holidays Act to provide for the extension of public holidays and for connected purposes. Order number 9, the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 37 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act to give effect to Article 125 of the Constitution by operationalizing the powers of arrest by Parliament and Article 50 of the Constitution on the right to a fair hearing and connected purposes. Order number 10, the Public Transport Motorcycle Regulation Bill, Senate Bills number 38 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to provide for the regulation of the border industry and for connected purposes. Order number 11, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 40 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Public Finance Management Act and for connected purposes. Order number 12, the Street Vendors Protection of Livelihood Bill, Senate Bills number 41 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to provide a legal framework for the recognition, protection, and regulation of street vending in Kenya, the identification of minimum standards for street vending, and for connected purposes. Order number 13, the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Energy Act to make provision for energy purchase agreements and for connected purposes.
Honorable Senators, I had deferred Senator Mundigi's statements, so I would call on Senator Mundigi to read his statements now. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, request for statement on unavailability of satisfying signed by unauthorized signed. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise person to standing order 53-1 to check a statement from the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on unavailability of sufficient seed by unauthorized seed companies and their distributors, leading to artificial shortage in the market and the attendant increase in prices of the seeds to the farmer. In the statement, the committee should explain the reason for the current shortage in supply of satisfied seeds of common farm crops such as maize and beans just at the onset of October planting season. 2. State the major seed companies in Kenya and their stock levels of common farm crops seed for the last 6 months, providing market price movement of this satisfied seed for the at least 6 months. And 3. Indicate the effort the government is making to control and fight cartel-like activities in the satisfied seed supply chain in the country to protect farmers from exploitation. Second statement, request for statement on installed government irrigation project in Embu County. Madam Speaker, sir, Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53(1) to check a statement from the Senate Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries regarding stored irrigation projects that are funded by the national government in Embu County. In the statement, the committee should 1. Explain the reason for stalling of the Neo Kidemo irrigation water project. 2. Elaborate how the funds that were allocated for the project were utilized faces the bill of quantities BQ in the project. 3. State any plans the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation as to resume works on the project and the estimated date of completion. Outline the plans in place to complete similar water project funded by the national government in Betty South, Rogoro, Gandori, once, Senta Mudigi, Embu County.
Next order.
Order number 14, motion, adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on the application for conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret. Resumption of debate.
Senator Manzo. Senator Oruoba. You've logged in to speak. Senator Cherarke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute on this motion of making Eldoret a city. I want to, Madam Speaker, because the first time when the chairperson of the Devolution Committee, Senator Abbas, moved for the adoption of the report, I didn't have opportunity then to say something. Madam Speaker, I want to laud the Committee of Devolution, led by Senator Abbas and other committee members, for this wonderful report. I think, Madam Speaker, Eldoret is the capital city of North Rift by all standards and ability. Madam Speaker, for us who have lived in around that region, and Eldoret is not far from where I come from, Osoriat, which is less than 40 kilometers, the town has continued to grow. And I think it is the high time, Madam Speaker, that we have opportunity of giving city status to Eldoret City, to become Eldoret City as opposed to Eldoret Town. Madam Speaker, you have to note that Eldoret as a town is an agricultural town. It is now becoming an educational town, or soon to be the city. You will find Moi University, you will find Mount Kenya University, you will find virtually all universities, even the University of Eldoret, Chepkoilel, Madam Speaker, and many colleges, many universities, many international schools within Eldoret city, Madam Speaker, or within Eldoret town. Number two, this is also agricultural town. You will find the major practice, Madam Speaker, of agriculture, especially on maize. This is where the capital city of maize should be, essentially, because it's Kitale and Uasin Gishu, Madam Speaker. And in fact, if we had the spirit of devolution working well, we should have had Eldoret city or Eldoret town, soon to be the city, to be the capital of National Cereals and Produce Board. We should not be having here in Nairobi, we should be having in Eldoret, because the main product or the main produce is milk and maize. Madam Speaker, I want to challenge the management of Eldoret City to ensure that they make it agricultural town by ensuring that major, you know, Madam Speaker, when we were growing up, when agriculture was doing very well, we used to have AFC, Agricultural Finance Corporation, Madam Speaker, and we used to work, you know, our old men and women would work just to puja and pay cash. And I think I want also to thank government at this point, because unlike in the previous harvest, we have been given 4,000 shillings for 90 kilos of maize. And Madam Speaker, at least the strategy, including other grains, you have from that here is the role. ASK, Agricultural Showground, Airport. As you go, and it's normal that Eldoret International Airport, the cargo planes cannot land. There is a short run, the runway for planes. Big Speaker, the runway have a problem at Jomo Kenyatta Kisumu International. Oburu Oginga to become whether he has carried the cake following it. We need to ensure airport. Madam Speaker, let Eldoret International Airport be known to be a place to transport farm produce and products, Madam Speaker. Let Eldoret International Airport, the Ministry of Others, Total National Airport, so that another airport. A full there is one in Bungosi also going in zone of champions. Angara Street in Eldoret, Madam Speaker. So it is a city that is called a city of champions. Madam Speaker, can you believe, as you walk around Eldoret, you are likely to meet Eliud Kipchoge, the greatest of all times, Kevin Kiptum, Faith Kipyegon, all these world beaters, Madam Speaker, and I'm being whispered that Mora might also start living in Eldoret, or Manyala might start. So, Madam Speaker, my message to all women and ladies across the country, if you want to DNA of getting good athletes, you should visit Eldoret and get one with a brown jacket, and I can assure you, you get DNA. I can imagine the combination of DNA from Kamba region and Kalenjin. I can tell you, it will be the 8 wonders of the world, Madam Speaker. So it is a beautiful city. It is a city that is not dry, not wet throughout the year. This is the city of champions. Madam Speaker, I want to challenge the county government of Uasin Gishu. Let's ensure the theme that they develop within the city is a city of sports. I want when a tourist who is keen on sport tourist lands here, Madam Speaker, on JKI, that tourist will always know I need to travel to Eldoret City because the theme is sports. So that when you walk there, the many things, the arboretum, the museum, I expect the museum that was in Gishu, Madam Speaker, they told you, they should fast track in court. And most major 80% of museums should be about sports. Because Eldoret is synonymous as a city of champions with the issues of sports. Madam Speaker, I want to challenge, Eldoret has a continuous supply of water from Chebara Dam. I know there is 2 rivers. There is Kipkaren Dam. There is Keses Dam, Madam Speaker. All those dams has ensured that Eldoret has sufficient water, Madam Speaker. But only thing I want to challenge the county government of Uasin Gishu and the county government of Elgeyo Marakwet, as a son of that region, to agree on the benefit that Chebara community in Elgeyo Marakwet will get from supplying water through Eldoret Water and Sanitation Company, Madam Speaker. So that as we build 2 rivers, Kipkaren Dam, and many others around that will supply water to Eldoret City, Madam Speaker, and even sanitation, they need to ensure corporate social responsibility to Chebara community in Elgeyo Marakwet County, and I know the county government of Elgeyo Marakwet and county government of Uasin Gishu, and even the leadership of Uasin Gishu should be. Madam Speaker, the 7th reason why we should give status to Uasin Gishu or Eldoret City is because the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, comes from the region. And I think, Madam Speaker, the way it is part of honor to him. We also need to honor, and that is why I'm saying it is not that Eldoret is special than other towns. It is other towns to be ready. Even Vihiga, we want to see Luanda, for example. Well, I will be expecting other towns. But this is a great honor because also the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, comes from this region. And of course, yours truly, although I will also be organizing Kapsabet also, and Senator Oburu knows Kapsabet very well, even more than me, that place more than me. We should also get a city status. But I'm happy because it's coming to my region. Yours truly comes. So when you are saying who is coming from Eldoret City, you should not leave, apart from President William Ruto, yours truly, Senator Cherargei, comes from that region. The 8th reason as to why, in conclusion, Madam Speaker, is also the issue of hospitals. The one of the outside Nairobi, Madam Speaker, KNH, we have Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. And there is an intention to expand to 200 acres, Madam Speaker, near the airstrip of Eldoret International Airport, Eldoret Airstrip, Madam Speaker. So I really want to say there is hospitals. Madam Speaker, can you believe Eldoret City, after every 100 meters, you get a healthy facility or an hospital. We have Topil, we have Real, we have St. Luke, we have, of course, MTRH, we have Uasin Gishu District Hospital. We have so many healthy facilities that has even transformed. I know Senator Manzo knows this. When you go to India, there are cities that are only known because of hospitals. So apart from Eldoret being educational, it can be what we call a hospital city, because there are so many hospitals outside Nairobi. I don't think there is a city outside Nairobi that has many hospitals outside Eldoret. And I know, for example, Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital is serving the entire of Rift Valley and even part of Nyanza and Western, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, can you believe when I went to Eldoret and I had an engagement with CEO of Eldoret, my brother Wilson Arwasa, who is doing a tremendous job, because the quality you are getting at MTRH is very good. Even Nandi County, we are the biggest beneficiaries. In Nandi, Madam Speaker, to be honest, the health system has collapsed. In Kapsabet Referral Hospital, the only thing they give out is the things that are only for reproductive health. They don't give out anything else, Madam Speaker. And most of the time, we end up ambulating. How can I say that? Ambulating most of our patients to MTRH. And Dr. Arwaza has done a lot. Madam Speaker, can you believe also they have a program of ensuring that they waive some of the bills that most young and poor Kenyans, not say young, poor Kenyans cannot pay. So I want to challenge colleagues also, Madam Speaker, even as we bill on MTRH, we can only ease pressure through you, Speaker, and Senator Oburu Odinga, Madam Speaker, by ensuring that the referral hospital, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Referral Hospital in Kisumu, is functional, by ensuring that we get proper funding so that we ease pressure on MTRH. I will also want to say even Makueni, to ease pressure on KNH, even Coast General Referral Hospital. We must at least have at least 10 referral hospitals to ease the demand. Even Machakos here, because I know Senator Kavindu is a beneficiary and the people of KNH, we can even ensure that Machakos gets a referral hospital going into the future. Madam Speaker, we need just to ensure we have proper funding. And I want to commit to the House that, and I want to beg my colleagues, this for us. By the way, Madam Speaker, before I forget, finally, because I know I still have 2 to 5 minutes. You led us when we were having devolution conference in Eldoret. And you saw the hospitality of the people of Eldoret. You saw the hotels. They are around 2-3 star. I know we might not have a 5-star in Eldoret. They need to work around that, but they were comfortable. And I met the leader of minority around Eldoret, just deepening and widening the devolution agenda within Eldoret. And he was comfortable with hospitality nature of that area, Madam Speaker. So I really want to appeal, that let us give Eldoret, let's get Busia coming, let's get Kilifi coming, let's get Bondo coming, let's get Kapsabet coming, let's get Makueni, Wote coming. Madam Speaker, and I want Senator Manso, I saw a story in conclusion about Tuaketam. We need to finish Tuaketam, Madam Speaker, so that we can ensure Wote becomes a city because of constant supply of water. Madam Speaker, with so many remarks, I want to thank the committee, thank your office for facilitation. Let us make Eldoret a city, but a city of champions, Madam Speaker. With those many remarks, I thank you and I support the motion.
Senator Oburu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Madam Speaker, I would like to start by supporting this motion. And Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I also want to declare that I'm a member of the Devolution Committee. And I also want to declare that I was part of the team which went to assess the status of Eldoret and confirm that it actually deserves to be a city. Madam Speaker, I have a very long history with Eldoret, starting from the 70s, Madam Speaker. I used to stay in Eldoret, Madam Speaker, as a trader. I used to do some business of coffee. We used to get coffee from Uganda and sell in KPCU. Some people are calling it Magendo, but for us it was very good business. And my headquarters for doing that business was Eldoret, and I used to stay in an hotel called Mahindi. And Madam Speaker, I can tell you that those days Eldoret was a small city.
What's your point of order, Senator Khalwale?
It was a small town.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on standing order number 105. Did you hear the Senator of CI confess to the criminal offense of corruption and further tell the House that he was actually a beneficiary of the proceeds of the corruption of Chepkupe coffee? Mr. Speaker, could he substantiate? And if he so cares, during substantiation, he declares how much he made, surrenders it to the people of the farmers of Busia, Uganda, and Busia, Kenya, who lost millions of shillings. Failing which, Mr. Speaker, he should do the honorable thing, resign, and then surrender to the nearest police station, preferably the parliamentary police station. Madam Speaker, he's a criminal on his own word. And people died out of gunshots. People died because of poverty, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Khalwale. You have asked. Senator Khalwale, I think I heard Senator Oburu say some called it Magendo. So I don't know whether he admitted to any response, but Senator Oburu, you can clarify.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I'm not sure, but I think Honorable Khalwale is quite aware that we were doing business. We don't know who died. We don't know. Really, it was not within my knowledge. But what I want to say, Madam Speaker, is that I was doing business and I was based in Eldoret. And I also want to state, Madam Speaker, that I'm not a criminal and I will not be. I will never even written a statement in a police station. So, Madam Speaker, my record is very clear, and what Honorable Halwale has stated, I think is completely out of step with what I was saying. Madam Speaker, I want to continue to say that Eldoret at that time was a very, very small city. It was a very small town. But years later, when I went to Eldoret, I found that Eldoret is a center of transforming agriculture. Transforming agriculture into what we call value addition. I found that Eldoret had a factory which was processing clothes, processing cotton and producing clothes, very high quality clothes. And it is not just one. There is one called Rice something, and then there was another one called Rivertex, and so on. And Madam Speaker, there are many, many other things which are there in Eldoret now. First, Eldoret is a terminal of the Kenya pipeline, which gives a possibility for Uganda to easily transport their oil from Mombasa to their country through the pipeline without damaging our roads. Eldoret has also a railway terminal where it has a railway station which facilitates business there. Madam Speaker, we also I also know for a fact that Eldoret Airport used to operate very, very optimally and economically when it was handling cargo. It used to handle cargo from Dubai and from other Middle Eastern countries. It was closed, that business of cargo was stopped because of suspicion by the government that it was losing revenue rather than getting more revenue from it, because they thought there was some illegal business there, Madam Speaker, going on. But now, I think those issues which were there have been sorted out. And when we were there with you, Madam Speaker, you remember the first plane carrying cargo came, and that cargo handling section is now being revived, and the airport will now start handling cargo. And handling cargo like flowers, sending fresh flowers out of the country to exploit the Middle East airport, Madam Speaker. This is bringing in foreign currency to Kenya, and improving, therefore, the status of our farmers, and also helping the economy of the country. Madam Speaker, the other thing which Honorable Cherargei, Senator Cherargei referred to is the hospitals. From my area, Madam Speaker, people go to Eldoret for specialized treatment, because Eldoret has very, very efficient hospitals, including the referral hospital there, and they are very good in some diseases like cancer treatment and so on. So a lot of people, instead of going to the Jaramogi Oginga Hospital in Kisumu, they prefer to go to Eldoret because they get better treatment there. And Eldoret has more than 50 hospitals which are functional and serving the people. Madam Speaker, it is also a fact that Eldoret is the city of champions. It is not just the champions from Uasin Gishu. It is champions all over, from Nandi, from Elgeyo Marakwet, from Uasin Gishu, and the other countries, and other counties. Madam Speaker, we found that this is a very, very, they have very good facilities in terms of stadium. But Madam Speaker, there are some sports which are coming here sometimes, I think in 2027, and this is the African football, the football. there is coming in this, all the three former, all the East African countries of Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. And these are going to be, in Uganda, they are going to be held in 3 towns. In Tanzania, it is also the same. It's Dar es Salaam and 2 others. But in Kenya, there are 2 of them being held, which will be held here in Nairobi, and 1 to Eldoret. Madam Speaker, I think the government should rethink this. Though Eldoret is a city of champions, it is mainly champions of running, but it is not champions of football. The champions of football come from Kisumu, and there, that is where you have the fans. So Nairobi should host 1, Eldoret 1, and Kisumu another one. Why should Kisumu and Kakamega, which are the actually homes of football, or Mombasa, miss any of this and concentrate everything in Nairobi, and then 1 in Eldoret? And that's what I think that needs to be reviewed, Madam Speaker. I also want to state...
Honorable Turarke, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, as a standing order responsibility of fact, is my good brother Senator Oburu Odinga aware that when Rivertex and other organizations that are based in Eldoret, that they were football clubs that used to play at the Kenya Premier League? Is it in order for him to insinuate that we are runners, but he's not even classifying whether we are night runners or normal runners? Is it in order to state that only Eldoret belongs to, at least yet I can introduce him to a number of football clubs that are based in Eldoret?
Senator
Madam Speaker, I mean, the whole country knows that most of these champions in running come from Eldoret. But we also know that most of the famous footballers come from Nyanza. So, Madam Speaker, he's quite aware. And Madam Speaker, if it is only taken to Eldoret, the stadium will be half empty or half full. So, Madam Speaker, anyway, that is a diversion. I did not say Eldoret should not. I did not say Eldoret should not have sport, should not have the game.
Honorable Halwale, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, members of this House are not allowed to mislead the public or state falsehoods on the floor, Madam Speaker. Did you hear the Senator of Siaya say that footballers come from Nyanza?
No, Nyanza and Western. I said
Madam
Kakamega
Speaker,
and Kisumu.
Madam Speaker, may I remind him that Elijah Donde was not from Nyanza.
No, I know
he
that.
He was from Ekolomani. Joka Denge was not from Nyanza.
Order, Senator Halwale. He has considered that it is Nyanza and Western.
I considered and I said it from the beginning, and I said football should either go to Kakamega or Kisumu, but not be concentrated in Eldoret and Nairobi alone. And that the famous footballers come from Nyanza and Western. That is what I said from the beginning, Madam Speaker. So maybe I should be allowed to continue. I don't know why Senator Halwale and Senator Cherargei enjoy interrupting me when I'm and also trying to divert my thoughts, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also want to state that Eldoret has very, very magnificent hotels. The hotels, first I thought it was only Sirikwa, because after Mahindi, I used to go to Sirikwa. But I have been around there now. There are others which are equally very good. They are not that high class, but they are very, very comfortable. Madam Speaker, some of these hotels which I saw around, the first time we stayed in that Red Cross Hotel, which belongs to Red Cross, I don't know how it is called, but then the other time when we were with you, Madam Speaker, I also enjoyed something else in Eldoret, which is the golf. Madam Speaker, I'm a golfer, and I stayed in a golf hotel in Eldoret. And that golf hotel has some feature, Madam Speaker, which is very, very good and very unique. There is a river which meanders around that golf course. And that river is clean. It is not like Nairobi River. Madam Speaker, that is a very, very good feature that the government of Machine Gishu is taking care of the environment. And we want that river to continue to be clean and so that people can use that water to drink so that it can serve the people to supply water, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I don't want to state anything more, but I would like to stress, Madam Speaker, that this center of Eldoret, when we went for public participation, we found some opposition from around. There were people who were opposing the city when we did public participation. And the reason they were opposing the city is because they thought the city was going to take their agricultural land. But, Madam Speaker, we convinced them that the city is bringing quality to your land. Because first, it is going to attract more industries, which will transform your land. And secondly, Madam Speaker, the modern cities don't expand exponentially. They expand going into the air. So the many higher-rise buildings will be built in Eldoret, and it will not necessarily consume their land. But when it consumes their land, or even if it consumes their land, Madam Speaker, the value of land will go up, and the farmers are going to benefit even more if they sell that land to the city, in case it reaches their land. So they have very little to worry, because either way, they will gain from Eldoret obtaining a city status. So, Madam Speaker, I can see the light is almost getting off, and I don't want to consume all my time. I would like to end there and urge the House to support Eldoret getting the city status, because it is going to be a service to our people, not only of the people of Eldoret, but also not just the people of the region. It is going to be an economic asset for the whole country, Kenya. So with those few remarks, I would like to end by saying that, Honorable Cherargei, we are not supporting it because the president comes from there, though that is also a plus. You are supporting it for that, but we are supporting it because it deserves the city status. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Professor Margaret Jep Koech Kamar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to support this motion. As I support this motion, Madam Speaker, I would like to congratulate the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations for a job well done. I say so, Madam Speaker, because I happen to have become a friend of the committee on the last day of their tour of Eldoret City to be, and I was very impressed by the detailed manner with which the committee was raising issues. I was also impressed by the interaction between our committee and the public. It was a public participation by excellence. People were given opportunities. They were not restrained. In fact, I was so impressed, Madam Speaker, that the chair of your committee, because you are part of the committee, wanted to hear divergent views. And you as vice chair also insisted that you wanted to hear divergent views. If there's anybody with a divergent view, you wanted that so that you could understand exactly where people were coming from. So I really congratulate the committee and would like to thank them for doing a very good and thorough public participation that other committees can learn from. It was very, very impressive. Eldoret is a place that we have all waited for to see it come to a city status. We've tried as much as possible to bring this forward. We tried when Nakuru was on, when I was Senator of Uasin Gishu myself, and there are quite a number of things that the committees then said that we needed to clear on the ground. Uasin Gishu, Madam Speaker, is a very unique county for the former White Islands, the grain basket of the country. It sits between Nakuru and Trans Nzoia, which is actually the belt for food production. It is no wonder that the whole belt became the White Islands, because even the colonizers realized that this is an area that, that was very attractive for investment in grains, investment in all sorts of things. And that's how they landed in the White Islands. Madam Speaker, a lot can be said about Eldoret as a city, as an upcoming city. As has been said by my colleagues, and you saw it yourselves, the committee saw the provision of a lot of amenities in that city. Being the grain basket of, being a city in the middle of the grain basket of the nation, the price of food is lower than in most other places. And this has attracted a lot of institutions. In fact, Madam Speaker, before the shake-up in the secondary school education, all universities in Kenya had campuses, including University of Nairobi, in Eldoret. Everybody was there because it was a very easy town to start an institution. Why? You have cheap food and continuous supply of water. Water in Eldoret, I want to assure this House, and I think I mentioned this during the devolution conference, that you can actually drink water in Eldoret off the tap. This is water that is purified in the hills of Elgeyo Marakwet. It is actually purified at source, and as it comes down the hills, it is pure, pure water. So the amenities in Eldoret are extremely attractive. Of course, another colleague has talked about the hospitals, that we have plenty of hospitals. In fact, the hospitals in Uasin Gishu, in Eldoret town, are not serving Uasin Gishu only. They serve what we call the Western Kenya region. Western Kenya region, which covers Western, Nyanza, and North Rift. But not just that, it also covers Eastern Uganda. A lot of patients are brought in from Eastern Uganda to this town, which is about to be conferred the city status of Eldoret. Because, again, it is a very attractive place to invest in such amenities because of what I have said, that it is a very good environment. In fact, Madam Speaker, if you read the climatology books, you will find that somewhere not far from Eldoret has the most stable climate in the world. This I discovered myself in the Roberts Library in Toronto when I was doing my PhD, that the most stable climate actually is within Uasin Gishu, not far from to the north of Eldoret city. So the stability of that place is very good. I'm saying this not just to market Eldoret, but to invite all of you who would like to invest in Eldoret to invest. Madam Speaker, we are currently hosting the executive members of Trans Nzoia, Elgeyo Marakwet, and Nandi within the same city. It's a very welcoming city. The people are very friendly. You have seen them for yourself. We were there for DEFCON. We were there before for Senate Mashanani. And these are people who are extremely hospitable. So it's a nice place to be in. And I really support this motion that it gets the conferment of a city status. Yes, industrialization started in Eldoret way back. We had the Rivertex company, textile company. We also had the Raymonds that used to export blankets and bed sheets and curtains. And we know that they are revived now. Of course, Kenit, Raymonds was transferred to Kenit, so we have Kenit. We have Rivertex back on their toes and running. We also have food processing companies. A good number of companies have come to process food products. We have people who are processing vegetables and exporting. Madam Speaker, we export flowers, we export vegetables, we export fruits, avocados, and all sorts of fruits, passion fruits, and so forth. All of them are being exported from Eldoret. It is true that quite a bit is not being exported through the international airport in Eldoret because of that runway issue, but we look forward to that being done so that planes don't just bring goods to, cargo planes don't just bring goods and are not able to take their goods out of the city. So we know that is on course, as we were also informed. I was lucky to be with this committee on that day because that's the day that the Minister of Trade landed when the committee was right on the spot and promised big things, including half a kilometer extension to allow takeoff of the heavy flights that can carry cargo out of Eldoret. So Eldoret is the destination not only for this country, for the county of Uasin Gishu, but for all of us. Also is a destination for other international flights, and we know that that is going to be good. Hotels, Madam Speaker, I want to disagree with Senator Gerard Gay that we are on 2-star, 3-star. We also have 4, 5-star. Madam Speaker, you know Eka Hotel, you know Boma Inn Hotel. Those are 4, 5-star hotels, and they're very good hotels. And there are very many new ones that are coming in now. We have a number of new hotels that are coming, and we believe that accommodation will never be a problem in Eldoret as a city. So it is true that a lot of things are coming up. There are a lot of things that need improvement, and they are going to be improved. Madam Speaker, during the devolution conference, we all went to the Arboretum. The Arboretum is the latest entrant, which was one of what was presented to the committee by the ad hoc committee. Madam Speaker, the Arboretum, I'm very proud of that Arboretum because every senator who planted a tree has his or her name labeled. I have gone back there 3 times to make sure that the labels are done, are still on, and they are going to continue. So you are part of the city, Madam Speaker. This house is part of that city. It was a very nice idea from our secretariat because they went ahead. By the time the governors saw, they were frantically looking for labels for themselves when the senators were all labeled. So all trees that were planted by senators were labeled. So you are part of this city that's about to be born, and I'm sure when we take our walk, we do our prayer walk in that park, we will remember each one of you in the future. Very soon, I'm sure some of us will be old and going around with our grandchildren and will be blessing you. So Eldoret has been transformed, and it is very, very ready for that. I said also, this is a city of very young people. Because of the number of institutions that we have a lot of young people in the city. which calls for a lot of attention to youth amenities and youth facilities. We are very happy that the Kipchoge Stadium is about to be complete, and there was a promise made even in this house last week by the Minister of Sports, the Minister of Sports, that they are going to complete that facility. So these are the facilities that we need, not just for the city, but for the youthful population that is in this city, because they'll be able to have a park to travel, to walk to, they will be able to go to have sports, a complete complex where they can have all kinds of sports, including swimming and so forth. So it's not only going to be a facility for our champions who are the runners, but also all other sports, including football. In fact, they have a very nice football pitch in the same place. And we know that very soon, the residents of Uasin Gishu will be competing with AFC Leopards and Gor Mahia. We don't know yet what name we will call ours, but they are going to be there. No, but on the other hand, Madam Speaker, we also have realized that youth from other corners of the country are now training for athletics, which is very, very good. Athletic tourism is the best thing. And we have seen an influx of our youth, not only those who have come for training, but we also welcome those who want to just come in for sports tourism. And this is one of the things that will be done very well as our stadium is going to be complete. So, Madam Speaker, I would really like to support this motion and ask our members, the members of this Senate, to endorse this, because this is the future. We need to free a few of our towns to be cities so that we can accommodate more people, and also we can allow for more investment. I want to assure members that Eldoret is open for investment. That is one city that anybody can invest in. And if you go in there, you will see for yourselves that it is a proper cosmopolitan city to be, and anybody can come in and invest. So, Madam Speaker, finally, I would really like to thank the committees that were involved. I want to thank my governor, Chelilim, who received you and went through the whole process with you as you are going through as you are auditing the requirements for the city status. I want to thank the ad hoc committee for a presentation that was really well done, that made it good for us as the residents of Uasin Gishu to be considered by the Senate. I want to thank them and honestly and sincerely wish them well, that as we go into the status of a city, I want to inform the governor and his team that it's when the work starts. Because it's one thing to qualify to be a city, and it's another to be maintained as a city. They have to maintain the status of a city. They have been given a city. They must make sure that planning continues. Because what brings down cities is when there is no plan, when an industrial park is mixed with residential areas, when hotels are mixed with hospitals. So I would really like to urge that to urge my governor that he goes ahead to reorganize if there is need for reorganization, because he assured us that if there is reorganization, he's going to do it, but we want a clear plan so that the planning of our cities is very, very clear. We have been to cities, Madam Speaker, where you find that one old street is just taking care of a specific kind of services. And this is where we should be going as a country so that we are not mixed up. So I want to thank them, and finally to thank the committee that went, chaired by Senator Abbas and you, Madam Speaker, as the Vice Chair. You did a wonderful job, and I want to thank you, and God bless you. Thank you. I support.
Senator Newton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity for me to also air my views or my support to this report on the conferment of city status to Eldoret municipality, Madam Speaker. And right from the onset, I want to say that I support this motion, Madam Speaker. And I have gone through this report, and I've seen that, that Eldoret municipality satisfied all the conditions required in order for a city or for a town to be made or to be promoted to be a city, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I happen to come from a community where boys undergo rites of passage, Madam Speaker. And this reminds me, and I think I want to say that when you come of age, then nobody should come between you and that coveted rite of passage, Madam Speaker. Some of us had to go for long trying to convince our parents that we were of age, Madam Speaker. And why I say this is because Eldoret municipality, having been able to satisfy these requirements, Madam Speaker, then needed to wait no more, or did not need to wait any longer. And Madam Speaker, I know, and everybody here maybe knows, that it is very important when a town is raised or made or promoted to the next level, Madam Speaker. I am a member of the Health Committee, and I remember us visiting Kisumu, Madam Speaker, and when we talked to those that operate JOTRH, that is Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, I think, Teaching and Referral Hospital, they told us that the major challenge that they have is that that hospital is a county hospital, but then it serves.
Honorable Senator, I'm sorry to interrupt at this point. There was an earlier direction from the Speaker that the House would adjourn at 5:30 in order to proceed on with the motion that was being moved by Senator Agnes Kavindu. I will now request and call upon Senator Agnes Kavindu to come and move the motion. When we resume back, you will have 18 minutes, Senator Nyoto, to finish what you were contributing. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Agnes Kavindu, you have 10 minutes to do that motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to Standing Order 37, the Senate do adjourn to discuss the definite matter of urgent national importance, namely demolition of houses and properties in Mavoko, Machakos County. Madam Speaker, in line with Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya Constitution, shelter is a basic need. The Mavoko residents, Portland, was never issued with a notice of demolition and or relocation plan or place. The leadership of Machakos County, the governor, the senator, and the area MPs were never consulted on this issue. After the lapse of lease, they would have had a consideration to give back the local community as is their ancestral land. Generations and have been brought up there. The said residents approached the government for regularization of the said land. It is unfair to demolish their properties without notice or relocation. And as the Senate, or as the senator of Machakos County, I deeply condemn this act because during the campaigns, the present government promised relocation of citizens who reside on public land. I wonder what changed. And the other day, the president told us it's a win-win. I request the government to quickly come up with a relocation and compensation plan for the affected residents that on the public amenities, that is schools, hospitals, and religious institutions, that are churches. Can't the government have an agreement with the county government and settle the issue in terms of payments and title deeds? We have seen this before with Waitiki Farm in Likoni, where the county government paid 1.2, where the county and the government paid 1.2 billion to the national government to save the residents. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta issued 1,400 title deeds to the residents who were already living in Waitiki farm on a list of 99 years. When the same, why can't the same be reciprocated to our people who have lived in Portland for so long? Madam Speaker, as we talk, we are talking of, by morning, we had 3,500. Madam Speaker, I'll wait, Senator Kio finishes with you and then you can pay attention. Madam Speaker, eight churches are also down. 4 schools are down. And Madam Speaker, from morning till now, the demolition is still on, and we don't know if they'll continue even up to tomorrow. This is very unfair. This is very inhuman, because those children are out, they are not going to school, and the El Nino is here with us. Those people are outside not knowing where they will go. I'm asking, where was the government by the time these people bought this land, were allocated, were even given plans for building, and they paid? They also contacted the NEMA, and they brought up the buildings to where they are, and they got in to live. Where was the government that time? Why didn't they intervene that time? Madam Speaker, I ask Senator Sifuna to second.
Senator Sifuna.
Thank you very much, Senator Kavindu and Madam Speaker. First, let me say that just a few hours ago, I was part of a delegation of the leadership of Azimio Coalition led by the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, and the Governor of Machakos. We tried to visit with the victims of the demolitions in Athi River. But to our surprise, Madam Speaker, we were met with a cordon of police, complete with water cannons and anti-riot gear, which was quite surprising for us because, as far as I understand, this is something that is of great interest to all Kenyans. And at the very minimum, we as the leadership of the country should be allowed to visit that place to see for ourselves so that we can assess the extent of the humanitarian crisis that is unfolding right under our noses here. Madam Speaker, much has been said about this matter in the court of public opinion and especially on social media. People are alluding to court decisions that have finally and firmly decided that the land belongs to East African Portland Corporation. In fact, Madam Speaker, that is not the position. The matter that has precipitated the current action was a ruling by the High Court sitting in Machakos that basically threw out the case that had been filed by the landowning company that had sued Portland. And the reason that was given by the judge is that this, the plaintiff or the complainant had been unable to effect personal service on some of the respondents in the case. So it is not therefore true or factual that a definitive determination has been made on the ownership of the land in Machakos. Madam Speaker, we are not here to argue the legality of who owns what or the title or who that land belongs to. Whether it is a question that it is, the land is actually public land, it is owned by Portland, or it's owned by these individuals, is another case altogether. What we want to address in this motion is the human suffering that has been precipitated by this particular action. That at the end of the day, Madam Speaker, our constitution and the law require that there has to be a humane way to resettle people. I am sure Madam Speaker is familiar with our own evictions and resettlement guidelines of 2009 that require that before certain actions are taken, such as the ones that we have seen in Mavoko, 90 days notice has to be issued in the Kenya Gazette. Of course, Madam Speaker, in this particular case, it was not done, because hours after the court decision throwing out the case by the land ownership society, the graders were there, ready to demolish houses. And Madam Speaker, what we want to address is that every single government that can call itself a government must always worry about the situation of their own people. As Senator Kavindu has alluded to, Madam Speaker, the current regime is on record having said that the era of forceful evictions and nighttime demolitions was going to be a thing of the past once they were sworn in. It is quite shameful, Madam Speaker, that as we speak, over 3,000 households are without a roof over their head. We have counted at least 5 churches as of yesterday, and 3 schools, and I've heard Senator Kavindu add that it is in fact now 4 schools. More than that. And the demolitions are ongoing. I can confirm that because I have just come from there and we were denied access because the police commander in charge told us that that exercise will continue for maybe another few days. Madam Speaker, so what we're saying is this. We understand the legal tussle might take time. We understand that it might be a complicated case. But what is not complicated, Madam Speaker, is that people cannot be sleeping outside. As Senator Kavindu has said here, we are entering a period where we anticipate heavy rainfall. In fact, we have been warned by the meteorological department for a long time that we might be experiencing El Nino rains anytime. What would have been the challenge with the management of Portland, giving these people ample time to be able to move out? And what is most shocking, Madam Speaker, in the Daily Nation of this morning, today's Daily Nation, we saw another advertisement by Portland dealing with a separate portion of land that they own. And in this particular case of the land that has been advertised today, somehow they have taken a different approach. They recognize that there are people who are settled on that land, some who might actually even be squatters. But they have said that they are going to give those people priority when that land is advertised for sale. I am only asking myself, why was it not possible, even in the current situation, or the people who are on the land that is being now demolished, where properties are being demolished, for them to also be afforded the same opportunity to have this discussion with Portland and see if these people are able to afford to purchase these pieces of land so that they can do regularization, as we saw in that particular advertisement. So, Madam Speaker, for us, really, we are saying let there be a humane face to enforcement of court orders. Let there be a humane face when you are kicking out people from land and destroying their homes. Madam Speaker, as far as we are concerned, this is a matter that the President himself must speak to and answer the question whether he still holds to his promise to Kenyans to make sure that, in fact, such demolitions, especially forceful evictions and demolitions, Madam Speaker, are a thing of the past. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and I beg to second.
What is your point of order? I have not even proposed the question. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 37, the Senate do adjourn to discuss a definite matter of urgent national importance, namely the demolition of homes and property in Mavoko, Machakos County. Honorable Senators, I put the question that pursuant to Standing Order 37, the Senate do adjourn to discuss a definite matter of urgent national importance, namely the demolition of homes and property in Mavoko, Machakos County. What is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I raise under Standing Order 111 about limitation of debate, looking at the time, and this is a matter most of us would want to contribute. Would I be in order to request that the House agree with me that at least each and every senator speak at a maximum of 5 minutes so that all of us can get opportunity. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Senators, the standing order only gives 5 minutes for each contributor to this motion, to this debate. So each senator will have 5 minutes to contribute to the current motion. Senator Enoch Wambua.
I thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to make a contribution to this motion. Madam Speaker, from the onset, I want to remind us that governments all over the world exist for the purposes of protecting lives, property, and livelihoods. Madam Speaker, what is happening in Mavoko, in the river today, and yesterday and the day before yesterday, Mr. Speaker, is a very sorry state of affairs. A very sorry state of affairs, Madam Speaker, because some of the property owners, properties that have been brought down, are actually third or fourth owners of the land on which they have erected their properties. Madam Speaker, the question that the mover of this motion has put on the floor of this House is a question that all of us must exercise our minds on as we debate this motion. Where was the government when people put up their houses on that land? Where was the government when schools were being constructed in this place? Madam Speaker, people don't register their schools. Schools are registered by governments. How did government register schools in this area? How did government even make some of these schools examination centers for exams that are supposed to be beginning next week? Madam Speaker, where was government when churches were being built on this land? It is the responsibility of government to register churches. Madam Speaker, without putting unnecessary emotion into this debate, I think, Madam Speaker, a time has come that people's legs must be held on fire until the truth comes out. What is the urgency in reacquiring this land for the cement factory? Why would we throw out our own people, Kenyan citizens, children, women, in the cold at a time like this when the El Nino rains have just set in, just because we want land to revert to a cement factory. What is it that the cement factory wants to do with the land today that we could not help and go through a process of reacquiring this land? Madam Speaker, I stand here as a leader from that region, but as I speak, Madam Speaker, let it be known by both sides of the divide that the people who have suffered and continue to suffer in those demolitions are not necessarily exclusively people from the Lower Eastern region. In fact, we have communities from all over the country who had settled on that land. People who have taken loans, bank loans, to construct their buildings. People who have taken loans to invest in private schools. People, Madam Speaker, who have taken years to build churches in those areas, and overnight, all that investment, all that property has been flattened, and these people are supposed to run to government for recourse. But unfortunately, it is the government that is doing this.
Honorable Senator, your time is up. Senator Boni Halwale.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's very unfortunate that we are here where we are. As we witness a humanitarian crisis unfold in the Gaza, in the Middle East, purely for the reasons that you know. Little did we know that we would have also a humanitarian crisis unfolding here at home, at Maboko. I want to thank Senator Kavindu, the mover and the seconder, Senator Sifuna, and Senator Wambua. You've spoken maturely. You have raised the issue for us, even as we uphold the rule of law, whereby we are obeying court orders. Evictions must be done legally and with a humane face. What's the big deal? If the courts have agreed that the owner of this property is Portland and people have settled there illegally, let them go away. But let it be done procedurally and with a human face. That's all we are saying. Honorable members, I remember when I was in this parliament in 2004, we were faced with a similar problem when 100,000 people had to be evacuated from the Mau forest. Again, in 2011, when I was in this parliament, we witnessed thousands of people being evicted from Syokimau. And the threat is the same, that business people, political people, they create cartels, con unsuspecting members of the public, they buy land which does not belong to these conmen, and then, as Wambua has said, they are second, third, fourth generation buyers. They're the ones who face this brand. We must say no. The people in Syokimau were warned repeatedly that you are putting up houses in the flight path to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. They couldn't listen. Similarly, the people in the Mau, hundreds of thousands, were warned that this is an environmental water tower. They couldn't listen because they thought they were protected by the rich people who gave them that land or the politicians who sent them there. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I tell this republic of ours, if we want to lead this country, we must hold each other. The weak, they be held by you, the strong ones. As in the government side, we hold hands with those in the opposition side when a matter requires that we close ranks. The people who are perpetrators of this con game must be pursued to its logical conclusion. And they are known. As I speak today, Boniface Sunguti Ichingwa, son of Ichingwa from Malinya, has sent me a message here that, Uncle, while you are away in Malinya, we have slept in the rain. He had bought such a land, he had put up property there. A young person, aged round about 29, 30, 31 years. These are the people we are supposed to protect. I hope when the president comes, he has taken step one, he has complied with a court order. We want to tell him that we are behind him to respect court orders, but we want to urge him to prevail upon agencies that manage eviction and settlement of people to do it in a humane way. Doing anything else, we either cease to be Kenyans or we become animals. Really? That somebody registered a primary school on land that did not exist? And I have registered 23 secondary schools which I built in Ekolomani. And I know the process of registration is rigorous. Who was doing these things? Unless it is a cartel.
Honorable Senator, time up. Senator Manzo Daniel Kitonga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important matter. Madam Speaker, other than this suit which has been concluded, there is another suit pending which will be determined about the same land in November, and I believe the same will not follow. The truth of the matter is the moment Portland acquired the land, and the moment the land lease expired, and the moment what Portland was doing there, which was mining, was over, the land was supposed to revert back to the community. And the current status is that it has to go back also, partly and co-owned by the county government of Machakos, which is the trustee. And therefore, it doesn't automatically go to the national government or automatically go back to the Portland company. And therefore, what has happened with this particular court order, Machakos County government had not been served. And instead of waiting for that, or the judge giving an opportunity, which happens, this ruling was arrived at through technicalities. And I also believe that some people were waiting for this. And as soon as that happened, people were very quick, you know, and agencies were very quick to run and evict. Instead of waiting for their cries and or giving reasonable time for these people to appeal, and then failure of appeal, then the matter would have been different. But that notwithstanding, there is something called an adverse possession of land. And that's why the Constitution says, and also the Fair Administration Act, says that you cannot no longer now, under the new Constitution, determine and conclude a matter fully on technicalities. You must hear all the parties. And in this case, all the parties have not been heard. And even the issue of adverse possession, of which these people have been here for over 12 years, has not been heard and determined. And therefore, whatever has happened is vitiated by politicians. That is very true. Statements have been made by different politicians regarding this particular land. There are quite a number of highly connected people involved. And the idea is not to give this land back to Portland or give it for any other purpose allocated, which is work of the Land Commission. The idea is to grab this land and take it for their personal interests, having taken it away from others. And even if this was to be for industry, even if it was to be for the housing project, these people had already done housing. I'm aware that Portland have a debt with the KCB. Even if it was for a debt with KCB, there should have been notice of 90 days. And upon giving notice of 90 days, people would have negotiated. Say, fine, if the land doesn't belong to us, can we then raise money and pay KCB so that now we can know what to do for the land? Or can we then pay for the land so that we can be able to occupy it? And for the information of this House, there are many other thousands of acres of land in that area, which are going to be mined and are going to be left vacant. So for all purposes and intent, that would still have covered any purposes the government or any other agency would have wanted to do so in future, but not to evict the people in an inhumane way, destroy their properties. They fail to have a human face. I don't think that's what government is. Government has a human face. And that's why we politicians go to the people and are servants of the people. We should hear the cries of the people. So the ones who damage and destroy the properties, I am very sure the Court of Appeal is going to revisit this, and there is going to be substantive hearing at the Court of Appeal while the houses are down and the people have been evicted, the churches have been destroyed. I think from what I've seen, even a mosque was constructed in my village, a place called Kadonzweni, irregularly on public land without consultation. But even after the Muslim community who had done that left the area, up to today nobody has touched that mosque. It is respected. Nobody else can go and destroy that mosque. You must respect places of worship because they are sanctified, and all this land we are fighting about belong to God. It doesn't belong to a particular individual. So I believe when we finally go to the Court of Appeal, and I'm sure the parties involved are very busy filing, and also we have this other ruling we are waiting in November. I hope it is also not going to be ruled on technicalities, and I'm sure the judicial officer dealing with it has seen the outcome of a court decision, barely on technicalities, looking machinized, looking not usual. Justice must be seen to be done. Justice cannot be managed through cartels.
Time up, Senate.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish this motion was speaking about for 9 years, they were unable, the parcels of land that they bought from cartels, they agreed with those who bought land from the land grabbers, Madam Speaker. On this issue, instead of us being reactive, we should be proactive, Madam Speaker. There have been billboards that have been put on that land urging Kenyans not to buy land from that area because there is one, court case, and two, they believe that land does not belong to a society called Aimimalu Kenya that was selling land to unsuspecting people. Madam Speaker, let us not be a house that is going to whip the emotions, that we want to be seen to be fighting for our people, yet we are not, Madam Speaker. Because if we were, the county government of Machakos could have done something. The representatives of Machakos could have brought that issue at the Senate. And Senate, we have very nice committees that are looking into matters, Madam Speaker. But we wait for whoever is demolishing, of which I don't believe is my government, whoever is demolishing, Madam Speaker, we wait till our people lose their property. It was very painful to see a border guy, Madam Speaker, saying that he saved money for 5 years to build a house in there, only for it to be demolished, Madam Speaker. And then after the demolishing has happened, we just make noise. And then we let the criminals go. The criminals who took this land and sold to the border guy. And there are people that are known. They are in government, some of them. They are in administration, police administration, Madam Speaker. Today the DCI has summoned so many people to appear before them to give them information. Some of them are members of parliament. Some of them are owners of a society. Some of them are former OCPDs, Madam Speaker. I think, and I urge this Senate, it is sad that people have lost their property. Yes, it is sad, and we should condemn that with the possible words that we can use, Madam Speaker. But we should also go for the people who conned these people who are losing their properties twice, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there's some leaders that I don't want to mention at this particular time of a certain political party, Madam Speaker, that are said to have taken this land and they have been fighting whoever in the name of protecting the residents of Mavoko. Madam Speaker, how come the said people have not even helped these people to go and have an appeal case at the court of law? At least assist these people in every way. But you cannot go to visit them when the demolitions are happening, yet 9 years.
What is your point of order, Senator Sifuna?
Madam Speaker, on Standing Order 101, on responsibility for the statements that are being made on the floor of the House, I think Senator Halwale had set the tone by saying that the presentations that were being made on the floor were very mature. Is it in order, Madam Speaker, for Senator for Kiambu to make allegations against leaders of a party that he has refused to disclose without making any substantiation of those allegations, Madam Speaker? Because this matter is a serious matter, and any person who has information that can help the people of Mavoko get justice should be speaking with authority of facts. Madam Speaker, it is a matter of fact also that there was hardly any period between the time the court case was dismissed and the time when the demolitions began. As Senator Manzo has submitted on the floor, it is as if some people had already known or anticipated the decision in advance. So is it in order for Senator Thangwa, to say that the leadership in Machakos have done nothing to help the people to appeal? You cannot appeal when your house has already been demolished. That is why we usually have, Madam Speaker, a period of 14 days between a judgment and the time when action is supposed to be taken to allow for that appeal. But that has not been the case here. Can you substantiate on those two issues, Madam Speaker?
Senator, what is your point of order, Senator Halwale?
Madam Speaker, again I rise on 105 just like Senator Sifuna. But as I appealed, this is not a government problem or an opposition problem. We have this motion because there is a humanitarian crisis. So even to ask the senator for Kiambu to substantiate, to look like he is to blame, Madam Speaker, can I, sir? Yeah.
Let him finish, Senator.
Madam Speaker, if there is need for substantiation, the police, through a press release, has just tabulated the names of the senior officers that the senator of Kiambu is speaking to. And they include the kind of players he's talking about. Madam Speaker, because I'm on the, yes, electronic evidence can be tabled in this house.
Let
Madam
him finish,
Speaker,
Senator Catherine, allow Senator Boni to finish.
Madam Speaker, as I speak to this document, it's not a public document. They are speaking to former deputy commissioner, former deputy county officer, former OCPD, Maboko,
What
former
document
DCI.
are you reading?
Yes?
Can you give us the title of that document?
The title is the National Police Service, Directorate of Criminal Investigation, dated 17th of October, press release. They are asking all these people who are adversely affected by the humanitarian crisis to go. They have opened a desk to go and register the names of the people who called them. And they have said, for starters, this starting from, Madam Speaker, can I read the names now?
No, you don't read if it's public knowledge, Senator Halwale.
Yes.
If you resume your seat, we have heard your line of argument. I will request Senator Karungo Dhangwa, if you would want to add in more information to what you suggested as people you mentioned from other political parties. What of clarification, Senator Agnes Mudhama?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to clarify that we as the leadership of Machakos did not wait until we come here, and also for humanitarian grounds when our people are sleeping out, and not only Machakos people alone. Kenyans are in Machakos, Mavoko. They've been, you know, they are sleeping outside. No school. Children are not going to school. Are we supposed to keep quiet, really, as the leadership of Machakos? And I want to say also, the governor took lawyers immediately the next day, and they went to court to apply an application of urgency to stop the demolition. And they were told to go back and serve all the parties and then go back on Monday just for this demolition to continue. It's unfair, it's inhumane.
Clarification is noted. Senator Karungo Dhangwa, would you want to put in additional information based on what you submitted before?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, you can only be told to substantiate what you have said, but you can never be told to substantiate what you haven't said, Madam Speaker. I have not named any political party, but they say there is a political party. I have not mentioned which political party, and I have the right to say that there is people who conned our people, Madam Speaker. And remember, as much as I'm sympathizing, feeling for them, because maybe even this motion is here to protect those criminals, Madam Speaker. Maybe what we are looking for is to protect those who sold land to these. That's why I'm taking that angle, Madam Speaker.
Let me give directions.
That's why I'm taking that angle, because we cannot be fighting for our people by pretending, Madam Speaker. We have to you have to get to the origin of this issue.
Just allow
as much as I'm fighting for them to be given somewhere to stay, to be given back their property, I should also be fighting for them to get their money from the criminals, from the land grabbers, from those who lie to them, that land belongs to them, Madam Speaker.
Resume your seat. Let me give a direction on this matter. The manner and style in which a senator chooses to adopt in their debate remains their preserve. Senator Karungo Dhangwa insinuated there may be some people from a certain political party. In Kenya, we have 89 political parties. It would not be correct for anybody to assume which political party the people who are alleged to be culpable belong to. It is within his rights to pick the nature of statement that he gives. If he gave names and sought clarification, and we sought clarification, that would be a different story. But the way he chooses to give his debate, that is the preserve of the senator. And we asked for additional information. He did not supply any further information to point to any political party. So we shall proceed on with the debate. Senator Osotsi Godfrey Atieno.
Madam Speaker.
What is your point of order should come when there is someone on the floor, Senator Catherine. Can you allow him to begin and then you do it as per the standing? Proceed.
Senator Dhangwa has suggested that the moving of this motion was intended to protect criminals. He has said it. Senator Dhangwa has said a political party whose leaders have then gone to look as if they are supporting the victims. Madam Speaker, I think a political party can only be one. If he actually is speaking in good faith to try and help resolve this problem, he needs to name the party, he needs to name the leaders who are protecting the victims. And I think it is bad faith for him to say the motion is intended to protect victims. Can he clarify why he believes that is the case?
Senator Catherine Muma, I have given a direction on that matter. The issue that was raised by Senator Sifuna was about the political party. There was no other issue raised, unless the Hansard would bear me would bear a different record. I would request Senator Osotsi to proceed.
Madam Speaker, let me also contribute to this motion of adjournment by supporting it and say that this Senate, I think we are creating a very bad precedent. I have observed very carefully, Madam Speaker, that members have brought here a motion of adjournment to discuss very serious issues. But when the motion is put, we don't get to discuss the substantiveness of the issues in that motion. We degenerate into our political parties and we lose the entire idea of bringing up the adjournment motion. I want to say this is a very serious matter, Madam Speaker. And I want to disagree with the members who have spoken earlier, particularly the majority whip, who said that this is not a government problem. I want to state here that this is a government problem. And I'm saying this because...
What is your point of clarification, Senator Kavindu?
Madam Speaker, I still insist that Senator Thangwa should come out and say clearly what he means when he says maybe the motion is for, no, when he says the motion is for protecting criminals. I'm not here to protect any criminal. I am here to defend my people of Machakos.
Senator Agnes Kavindu, I have given a direction on that matter. Senator Karungo was responding to the issue of the political party, and I gave a guidance that his response was on the political party aspect. So, Senator Osotsi, please proceed.
Madam Speaker, exactly that's the point I was putting across. When we have a motion of adjournment, I think we need to act very seriously and responsible so that we get the results of what we are discussing. On this particular motion, Madam Speaker, this is a very serious matter. A serious matter where hundreds of families are sleeping in the cold. Yes. El Nino is just about to come. They have nowhere to call home. And when someone says this is not a government problem, then we ask, where was the government when this land was being sold to these people? Yes. Where was the government when schools were being licensed in this area? There is a lot to say about this. And Madam Speaker, in fact, this matter was taken as an inquiry by this House. Yes. Unfortunately, the chairperson of the committee that is supposed to be doing an inquiry on this matter, he is the one who is taking this matter very lightly on this floor, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, November last year, one Honorable Moses Kuria, the former CS for Trade, issued a threat that these people are going to be evicted, that they wanted to demolish the houses in that land. Yes. Because the government wants to put up a cargo airport. Mm-hmm. Madam Speaker, why do we need a cargo airport in Mavoko when we have enough land at JKIA for expansion? We can put a cargo airport there. And Madam Speaker, this land, if you go into the history of this land was donated to Portland by the community. Yes. To mine. And a lease. So that they mine, at the end of the mining exercise, the land reverts to the community. Now they are coming and getting the land from the community back to Portland by force. Madam Speaker, I want to request that this matter be handled by an inquiry of this House so that we get to the bottom of this matter, because this matter has been on for some time. I remember during the last government, President Uhuru's government, there was a similar arrangement to evict the people. But President Uhuru decided that these people will continue occupying the land. But this government that came to power on the basis of protecting hustlers, on the basis of ensuring there will be no eviction. It is the worst eviction that we have ever witnessed as a country since independence. This is worse than the Kariobangi one that was done some time back. Madam Speaker, this is a very serious matter, and I want us as senators not to discuss this matter as if we are protecting our various political parties. We are here to protect matters that affect Kenyans. And this is one matter that affects Kenyans. Mavoko, that land, if you go there, you find every community there. I have my people from Vihiga County who have bought land there. Where was the government? Why were they issuing titles in that land? We need the Ministry of Land, the ministry in charge of housing.
Senator Gloria Uroba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think today one thing we all agree in this House is that we have a systematic problem of land injustices. That one we all agree. As a matter of fact, I have said this repeatedly, that Kenya has actually been built on systematic acts of land grabbing. Once we have acknowledged that, which we all acknowledge, is that these injustices cannot be resolved by protecting fraudsters. It cannot. I have had my colleagues asking, where was the government? I have had some of them even referencing the former president, saying the former president said that they stay. Protecting fraudsters, protecting people who have conned Kenyans. But when we have a government that has finally acknowledged that we need to make the things that were wronged, we need to make them right, and we need to start from somewhere, then we have the same people saying, where is government? Government is here. Government is here to ensure that we are no longer protecting fraudsters. We have innocent Kenyans who bought that land, who did not do the due diligence that needed to be done. What we should be discussing as senators, as legislators is, do we have a lacuna in law in terms of protecting victims of fraudsters? But coming to discuss that, let us continue protecting conmen and fraudsters who are grabbing land and then selling this land to innocent Kenyans, that is not what we are supposed to do as legislators. So for those of you who are asking, where was government? That same question should be posed. Where was government? That government that was actually allowing and protecting fraudsters,
What's your point of order,
Madam
Senator?
Speaker.
I resume your seat, Gloria. What's your
Speaker,
point of order?
can the Honorable Senator tell us who is protecting fraudsters among the people who have spoken?
Senator Gloria, who is protecting fraudsters? Can you
Madam
respond?
Speaker, I think maybe it is an issue of interpretation or lack of understanding. But if we have all agreed that land was grabbed, illegally sold, people settled, why then would we be saying that let us not deal with the issue of land grabbing? That in itself is protecting fraudsters. Because we are trying to say that those people who have constantly conned Kenyans, and they continue to do so, because they know that people will come and say, oh, let us protect the victims. We have to look into how to protect the victims within the law. Let us discuss on bills on how victims can be protected. But Madam Speaker, we cannot be, as legislators who are law-abiding, discuss on how we are going to continue aiding land grabbers. Madam Speaker, that is my point. And Madam Speaker, because of time...
Senator Gloria, would you wish to be informed by Senator
No,
Kavindu?
I do not wish to be informed. Madam Speaker,
So
I think...
she does not wish to be informed.
Madam Speaker...
Senator Kavindu, she does not wish to be informed.
Madam Speaker, I want to applaud DCI because we have seen that they have come out without fear of whatever political divide, and they have listed those alleged criminals who are now looking for political favor to be protected in all sorts of forms. Madam Speaker, we want to say to DCI, those are the people we want to parade out there and make sure that we even bring back the money if they have property. In fact, the houses that they are living in, we are supposed to resettle the victims in their houses. That is what we should be discussing today, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I want to say this, that we cannot ignore that we have reports that we need to implement. The Ndungu report must be implemented, and this issue of land grabbing must be dealt with as a whole, beginning with what the President is starting with today.
Senator Catherine Muma.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for opportunity to contribute to this. Madam Speaker, this motion came because of the sad pictures of people's houses being brought down. Madam Speaker, what we are discussing today is an issue of ensuring that this country gets back to law and order. Madam Speaker, we have court rulings, 2011, in Garissa on how to deal with evictions. We have a ruling in 2013 on how...
Senator Kathy Hold. Senator Chiradige, what's your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I rise on standing 105 on responsibility for statement of fact. Senator Catherine Muma has indicated that we are here because of the sad pictures that we saw of what is happening in Mavoko. While we know very well, Madam Speaker, that the reason demolitions are happening in Mavoko, in Athi River, the land belongs to Portland, was a case that was adjudicated in a court of law, and there was a court order that was being implemented by a private entity company called Athi River Portland. Is it in order for her to mislead Kenyans that the reason we are discussing this motion is because we saw pictures of houses being demolished, Madam Speaker? Is it in order can be responsible for the statement of the fact that is saying before the House, Madam Speaker?
Senator Chiradige, let me give a direction on that matter. Hold your horses, Senator Osotsi. I have given a direction in this House that the style and the manner in which a senator chooses to debate their points cannot be the discretion of the other senator. It is the preserve of the senator who is debating the issue. So Senator Kadhi, proceed and...
Madam Speaker,
you
just
cannot
to...
raise a point of order when there is no senator on their feet. Senator Osotsi, you know the rules.
Madam Speaker, the outcry about the manner in which evictions have been done, whether those victims are victims or land grabbers, is what brought the attention of this House to the matter that is there. And you will check, you will not find a court order that said demolish. There is no such court order. Madam Speaker, the point I was making is this, that it is high time as a country we started respecting the rule of law. So that land was grabbed and allocated to people. Who registered the schools? Who registered the churches? Who gave the planning permissions? Madam Speaker, it's not about pointing a finger at the opposition or the government. It is many people here who have slept on the job. And this House needs to move in a manner that we can even set an inquiry to get to the bottom of this, because this is recurring every so often. Madam Speaker, in 2011, 1,100 families were evicted in Garissa, and the courts found that government did this wrongly. It also happened in 2013 when the ruling said the Muthurwa evictions were not done properly. Madam Speaker, we must not hand over this country to private actors to actually evict people. A government that is trying to encourage housing needs to find out how do we resolve these issues. I am not here to defend anybody, and anybody who knows any culprit or grabber, regardless of which party they are in, even if it is my ODM party, please name them. That is why we are here.
Honorable Senators,
So I would suggest,
Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 34-2A, I will add an extra 10 minutes so that the few senators who are waiting to debate may most likely have a chance to debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think I have 1 minute going. I just wanted to say, as a House, I am pleading. I think many departments have slept on the job on this matter. Rather than look at this politically on who is speaking and who is doing what, we need, as a House, to be that entity that will be responsible enough to look at this matter objectively. If it means we set up a committee to go and find out which department did its job, which department did not do its job, so that we can resolve this thing and stop the next evictions that are going to hurt Kenyans. Thank you.
Your time is up, Senator. Senator Cherarike, it's your time. And honorable senators, if you can avoid the point of orders for the few minutes, then a few more would debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank you and thank that we are discussing this adjournment motion on the evictions that is happening in Machakos County. Madam Speaker, I've seen allusions, and you know it's surprising that some people have double standards, Madam Speaker. One side, they tell government, respect the rule of law. The other side, they encourage government to go for impunity. Madam Speaker, I am surprised and perturbed. While I empathize with Kenyans who they were innocent purchasers, Madam Speaker, it is sad that individuals want to encourage government to break the law, yet at the same time say the government should have a rule of law. In the functions of presidency and president, there is nowhere that says the president can cancel a court order. I have never seen it. If anybody was genuine in supporting the victims of innocent purchase of land, they should have assisted them in a court of law. Not going for press conferences, not going and intimidating the police officers who are implementing the court order, Madam Speaker. I want to say the government shall follow the rule of law and implement the court order as is, Madam Speaker. Secondly, I want to laud the DCI for naming, including even sitting members of parliament and former, Madam Speaker, people who served in provincial administration or NGAO or National Government Administration Coordination Ministry, that they are part and parcel of accessories to the crime that was committed to innocent purchasers. I want to encourage DCI, fear not. As the Bible says, Madam Speaker, fear not. We are challenging the DCI to go for them, however mighty or however low they are, Madam Speaker. I want to say in conclusion, Madam Speaker, the government shall protect all Kenyans within the law. Madam Speaker, I therefore encourage the senator to go beyond and even request this House, Madam Speaker, to form a committee of inquiry, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, when Senator Otsosi was speaking, we were patiently listening to him. Why does he want to interrupt me, Madam Speaker? When I'm making, you are the one who said.
Senator Cherarike, he's within his rights to request. Resume your seat, Senator.
No, Madam Speaker, I finished my submission. I thank you.
Yes. Madam Speaker.
You know you cannot finish like
Madam
that,
Speaker.
Senator Cherarike. I'm the one in charge of the House for now.
I'm rising on Standing Order 105, which my good friend, Senator Cherarike, has misused in this House. Madam Speaker, it is important for me to rise on this because we are degenerating as a House. Because when you are discussing a matter, it has become a norm that the easiest way of curtailing debate is to rise on point of order number 105, Standing Order number 105. Some time back, about a week ago, when we are discussing a similar motion of adjournment in regards to tribal clashes in Sondo, Senator Cherarike demanded that I substantiate the sentiments I had expressed, that there were some fighting near the border of Nandi and Vihiga County. And Madam Speaker, have been waiting for the chair to tell me, this is now the second week, to substantiate. I have never been asked to come and substantiate. I was told to come and substantiate. The next Tuesday, nothing happened. So what I'm trying to say, my point of order is this. I think, Madam Speaker, the chair of this House must observe any incidences of misuse of Standing Order number 105, which a lot of senators here, especially Senator Cheregei, are used to bring it up. And I decided to bring it up when he's speaking, to inform the House that I have been waiting to substantiate the claims I made, and the chair has never asked me to substantiate. Is it in order for Standing Order number 105 to be misused in this House as a way of curtailing democracy and debate and free speech in this House?
Senator Otsotsi, resume your seat. Let me give you direction on that issue. Senator Otsotsi, Standing Order 105 is available to all the senators in this House to utilize it as a tool for debate and a tool for intervening when there are issues that need to be responded to and which they feel are now crossing the standing order or going out of way. So it is in order for any senator, including Senator Cherargei, to use the Standing Order 105. Abuse of that standing order should not be allowed. Nonetheless, if you have been directed to substantiate an issue and you have not had a chance to substantiate that issue, it would be in order for you to even approach the clerk's desk or approach the chair and say that you have pending business that has not been brought in good time. And in this regard, I will now direct the clerk's desk to make sure that the issue of Sondu is substantiated during the next sitting, as the next sitting resumes. And even Senator Otsotsi owes a duty of responsibility to the House to offer that information for anything that may be left out erroneously or inadvertently by the chair or by the clerk's desk. We proceed on with debate, so I will ask Senator Miraj.
Asante Bi Speaker. Na mimi nasimama kama kiongozi ambaye natoka katika mkoa ulioathirika zaidi na uwizi wa mashamba. Na nasimama kwa uchungu sana, kwa sababu imekuwa ni tabia, na ni muunge mkono pia Senator Gloria, ya kwamba kuna watu mahali wamekaa na wamejipanga ni jinsi gani watakuwa wakiibia Wakenya walalahoi pesa zao kwa kuwauzia mashamba ambayo sio yao. Ni jambo la kusikitisha sana kuona kwamba tunalumbana sisi kama viongozi katika taifa la Kenya, wakati kuna wananchi, Madam Speaker, ambao wako nje hawajui watalala wapi. Mimi kama mzazi, na kutokamana na yale masuala ya El Nino ambayo yamekuwa yakizungumziwa, naona ni bora hawa ambao wametolewa katika haya majumba kuweza kupelekwa katika zile nyumba ambazo wale watuhumiwa wametajwa na DCI leo. Sisi kama taifa ni wakati tuchukue mkondo mpya kama serikali mpya katika taifa hili. Chini ya serikali ya William Samoei Ruto, Madam Speaker, tuliweza kuzungumza ya kwamba masuala ya ardhi yatakuwa masuala ya serikali zilizopita na sio serikali hii. Tukaweza kuongea ya kwamba kutakuwa na mazungumzo na watu kufidiwa. Basi mimi kama kiongozi ningependa jumba hili tuweze kutunga sheria ya kuweza kuona yule atakayepatikana ameuzia mwingine shamba ambalo silo lake aweze kupewa adhabu kali. Ningependa pia sisi kama maseneta na viongozi katika taifa hili, Madam Speaker, tuweze kukubaliana ya kwamba ni uchungu kuona ya kwamba kuna watu katika ofisi za serikali ambao waliweza kupiga mihuri ya kuwezesha wale wananchi kuweza kujenga katika maeneo kama yale. Ningependa kando na wale ambao waliwauzia, hata wale ambao wako katika ofisi za serikali hadi sasa waweze kuchukuliwa hatua kali. Wale wote ambao waliwahi kufanya kazi katika ofisi za serikali za ardhi wafikiwe, kwa sababu kuondoka katika ofisi ya serikali haimaanishi mkono wa serikali hautakufata pale ulipo. Wale waliwatendea dhulma wananchi wa taifa la Kenya kwa kuweza kusahihisha na kuweka sawa uwizi wa ardhi ulioendelea pale Mavoko waweze kufatwa na mkono wa sheria uweze kuchukua njia yake. Asante, Bi Speaker.
You have, Honorable Senator, we have 18 seconds. Senator Kavindu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to say that the Committee of Lands should move to Mavoko to know what is happening as they speak to those people and see how they can sort out those problems of the issues of the land. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, it is now 6:40, time to adjourn the House. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 18th October 2023 at 9:30 a.m.